um, who contacted me and was like, hey, just asking me to verify some factual information. So I was like, because I like a lot of times when I go look at properties, I might do an unpublished video for my client where I'm talking, I'm explaining things, just giving my commentary on the property, whether I think it's a great investment or whether I don't. So I happened to run across this podcast with Van Jones, another gentleman who, don't ask me his name because I don't recall, and John Hope Bryant.
Yep,
They
I
were
remember
talking
that one.
about, yep, they were talking about AI. And I felt like, wow, these guys really are onto something. And I think it's something that definitely for the space that we're in, it's a good topic for us to be discussing.
Okay.
How you can use AI to not only leverage your business, but just leverage your life, period.
Interesting. So I'm curious, what did you take back from it? How did that interview land for you?
Um, I liked the information that they shared because he kind of gave some historical context too, as far as like it took us, I think he said 60 years to get like to the automation part, you know what I mean? Like, once automation happened and all that, that was like 60 years. But this is going to be completely different, with AI, and it's going to of course level the playing field. Um and because everybody has access to it, it's going to be a game changer. And of course, it's going to help people streamline their processes, and for business owners, cut down on overhead. And if you are an employee, quote unquote, um, you may be replaced at some point by AI. So you need
Yeah.
to make sure that you are um, trying to make yourself like a super employee, being able to utilize and leverage those tools for your position to make you more valuable to the company, or whatever you may be involved in. So I thought it was great information, and I thought, oh wow, this would be a good topic for us to jump right into. What about you?
Yeah.
What did you take from the podcast?
Well, I mean, I've been listening to a number of different podcasts. I've been watching the news about different things that are transpiring in that space.
Mm.
I've even gotten to the point now where I'm starting to look at taking a couple courses here and there just to get a basic understanding
For
of how,
AI?
yeah.
I'm gonna
And
send you something to your phone after the podcast that I'm gonna be doing.
yeah. And I don't know, like the entrepreneur in me is excited, right? Anything we can do to create efficiencies is always going to excite me, right? Because at the end of the day, the number one goal for you as a person who owns a business is to create a business that requires as little capital as possible but generates as much. And AI is going to be a game changer for that. And I'm excited about even the tools that I'm using now and how it's sped up my process. And what I know is just like anything else. I mean, the early adopters, those of us who take this seriously, we are going to be light years ahead of our competition. Like I agree with John O'Brien, I agree with Van Jones. I can't remember the other gentleman's name either, but it doesn't take anything from him. I just can't recall his name. He's not as quote unquote, I guess, famous as the other two personalities. But
But still very brilliant.
but yeah, but you know what I know, like I said before, is that despite the fact that some people may believe it is extremely accessible and utilizing and taking steps to employ what you know is two different things. And so I'm excited about that because I know, quite frankly, as an entrepreneur, a lot of my competitors or a lot of people who are operating in the B2B space or in a lot of the other spaces I'm involved in aren't deploying it. So I'm excited about that because it gives me a chance to really um, get after the business of being a business owner in a different kind of way. And it does kind of level the playing field a little bit. I mean, we are all earning as we learn. We're all learning as we go. So I like that. Um, and I believe that they're right, as well as a lot of the other voices I've heard on this topic, is that the AI isn't going to replace you per se. The people who understand how to use AI is going to replace you, right? Um, that's what's going to cause a lot of the displacement. You have to learn how to utilize this tool, um, or you're going to be replaced by someone who does, right? The tool in and of itself is not going to replace you. So to me, that's a fascinating take on it. There's a flip side though, and there were a couple assumptions they shared that I think when you reach a certain privileged space, you believe everyone has the same degree of access as everyone else. And the bottom line is here in Detroit, there's still internet deserts. There are places where you can go in Detroit. There are places where you can go in Michigan. And Michigan and Detroit aren't anomalies where no people don't have access to the internet like that. They don't. And if they do have access to the internet, it's not at the speed, it's not the level of, it doesn't allow them the level of productivity that someone like you or I would enjoy. So I think about that a little bit. To me, that was glaring during the pandemic when there were kids who were able to continue schooling because they had access to the internet, they had access to educated parents, they had access to certain resources that other kids didn't have. And those kids who did not have access to the internet, those kids that didn't have the ability to jump online and participate and interact with their teachers and interact, and the parents interact with teachers, still kind of business as usual, those kids are still desperately behind. And I think about that. I also think about the fact that, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like he was talking about how we went from agricultural to manufacturing, manufacture to en masse industrial, then to basically the financial services, and now the technology industries have taken over, right? And in each one of those transitions, there was a time period, right? It was years before we really transitioned from the horse buggy to the automobile.
Right.
And during that time, even though it was extremely disruptive, people did get hurt by that. You still had decades to make the transition, right?
Yep.
Whereas what normally would take decades, we're doing in literally months and years. And I do think about that, like the displacement and the dysphoria that will occur, because I think as a result, we're going to see high unemployment rates. Like we're going to see it could get as high as 20%. And some people who don't understand what that means to our economy might brush that off their shoulders and say, not a big deal. No, that's a big deal. Okay,
Well,
when our unemployment rates go up 1%, it makes a huge impact in our economy. And I believe the unemployment rate is going to go up because people aren't going to retool. They're not going to learn. They're not going to pivot.
they're going to give
Uh,
up.
yeah. And it just takes people, like it takes human beings. We've been hotwired. The way we the way we behave and interact has been hotwired. It's been through evolution. The human being, the human mind, and the way we make decisions, the way we evolve, the way we grow, the way we do everything has evolved for thousands of years. This technology is going to require that people in mass move in ways and evolve in ways that we're just not designed to. it just doesn't happen that way, right? Um, there's levels to intellect. There's levels to um, talent, skill, capacity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's levels to it, and evolution just doesn't work that fast. And so I don't believe the playing field is as equal as a lot of people would like to think it is. And I am looking at all the benefits of AI, and definitely I'm incorporating everything that I do. But I'm also acutely aware of the fact that there's going to be a lot of displacement, a lot of dysphoria. We're going to see some fascinating and insane things happen as a result of it. And it ain't going to be all good, right? Um, on the other hand, it was interesting. I did a open house for actually one of our partners last night. She had a great turnout, went fantastic. We'll talk more about it offline. But one of the other individuals who attended, the conversation I had with her, because she's very concerned about it. And I asked her what she did for a living, and she said she did, I guess, nursing assistant work, kind of like home
Yeah.
health care for adults, things like that.
Okay.
And I said, look, you need to understand that a lot of these jobs that are you're going to be involved with, that you've been involved with, are going to be gone. We are going to have robots accompanying us, walking up and down the street, carrying groceries and doing whatever else very soon, a lot sooner than we think. iRobot is coming, right? But I said, there are still industries that are going to thrive, and there are industries I think they're going to do well. Like therapeutic industries, I think are going to skyrocket. It's going to skyrocket. Therapeutic industries, right? Because people are going to need therapy. A lot of people, as a result of displacement, the fact that a lot of folks' identities are tied to the nature of the work they do. And you have people who've been mastering certain crafts for years, and all of a sudden their crafts are gonna they're not gonna be able to perform their craft. Something else is gonna be doing it. It's gonna cause a lot of problems, right? People's just self-concept as it relates to the world around them is gonna need to change dramatically. There's gonna be a lot of need for therapy, okay? Um, it's gonna sound crazy, but you know what? You're gonna have a situation where it would not surprise me if you looked up online and you saw people who were being paid just simply to take walks with other people, where people will actually pay just to have some type of human being or partner, um have like conversation, discussion, socialize, go out and socialize with them, right? Go out to a restaurant, go out to a movie. Like people are literally gonna, I would not surprise me if you had people like who set up businesses where I can be your kind of pseudo temporary life partner, because that need for human connection is going to skyrocket. Like I say, human beings, we're not going to evolve that fast. We are hotwired, we're conditioned for connection to other human beings, right? Sometimes even our own self concepts are defined by how other human beings see us and how we interact with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're pack animals, right?
Okay.
And the bottom line is you're going to see services that are designed to meet that need that's being squeezed out, right? Um, I mean, there's going to be a lot of industries that are going to thrive because of AI. Diet, exercise, um, you know, social biking, and a lot of these things that we kind of look at and take for granted now, those things are going to be huge, right? If you have the capacity to communicate on an elite level where you're not just good at talking about things in very generic terms, but you have like an esoteric understanding of language, and how to influence people, leadership skills, um, and being able to communicate with other leaders is going to skyrocket. Like that industry is going to skyrocket as a result of AI. I mean, there are a lot of things that I can think of that entrepreneurs who are willing to step into that space and pivot are going to do exceptionally well. You know, the other thing I think about too, as I was listening to that podcast and others that people need to take into account. I mean, you know this, you can drive through not just Detroit, but most cities. I mean, you know, where I live at now. Um, these entrepreneurs, particularly those who are 40 and up, to be transparent with you, they still don't know what a CRM is. They
Wow.
still don't know a landing page. What's that? They're still just getting caught up to using websites. You know what I mean? Um, they may be using AI.
Even
Yeah.
some industry.
Yeah. I mean, they're using AI, but they don't understand they're using AI when it comes to searching and doing things on their phone. But the reality matter is they're far behind. I'm talking about people who are very well off financially, right? Um, when I think about AI, okay, this is where I was going with that. This is where I'm going with that. Where I'm going with this is this, because this is my biggest concern for entrepreneurs as well. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not trying to learn every single AI tool that's out there because it's evolving so quick. It's so many tools being introduced so frequently. The bottom line is a lot of the technology we're using today, they already created that technology 10, 15 years ago. It's just not being deployed. And the things that can be done with AI and technology um, that's being created today, it's going to look like the Jetsons. It's going to look beyond the Jetsons. It's going to be beyond even our imagination that's coming, right? What I would encourage entrepreneurs to do is look at your business, look at your clients' businesses, look at the people whom you serve, and learn the AI tools that are applicable to those situations. General knowledge of AI is good, but when I start taking some of these AI and technology classes, the classes I'm looking to take are classes that are going to allow me to niche down, that are more specific and specialized to the things that I need AI to do and the things that my clients need AI to do. And what I see now is a lot of people learning about all these different tools and packages and this, that, and the other. And it's like a lot of this stuff is going to be obsolete. It's like our phones and our computers become obsolete every year. Well, these tools are becoming obsolete on a monthly basis because there's newer versions being introduced. Learn the tools, learn the strategies, learn the tactics, learn the technologies that will aid you in your business and rely on the other generalists to do other things if you're really going to get down. Like that's the other thing I'm thinking about. Um, but like I said before, I mean, hell, we got to get people to the point where they even are caught up with what's been going on 10, 15 years ago. I see huge opportunities for that. People who niche down and learn how to use specific tools. But I also see, like I said before, a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who are going to catch that L. And I know I just went around the block and back again. But as you can tell, these are things I've been thinking about for a long time now. You know, these are things that have been top of mind probably for the last 2 years when this conversation really took flight. So, oh, those are my thoughts. That's what I think about. That's what I'm analyzing um, from my viewpoint and what
Well,
needs to transpire.
I think like you brought up some really good points and things that I didn't think about as far as like some of the um tools being obsolete and people learning stuff that's really not specific to what they're doing, their business, or anything that's going to help them to be more effective and efficient with what they're trying to do. Um, that's a real concern and a real thing that's going to affect a lot of people as well. So I think that's definitely a good point. And then two, like you were saying about people needing human interaction, because yeah, AI is great, and being able to, use technology for certain things is amazing and great. But there are certain things that no matter how sophisticated the technology is, some things still require a human being to be able to do it, to be able to pull it
Mhm.
off. There's some things that no matter what, a human being is going to have to do that, or be a part of it, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's also a really good point, especially in regards to like the human interaction piece, as far as caregivers and that kind of thing, and people having a desire for human interaction. Because I think during COVID, um, a lot of things, um, maybe didn't affect you or I, but there were a lot of people who were affected by, like you were saying, with like the need for therapy, because they felt isolated, they felt
Mhm.
alone. There was, a lot of people that, just didn't do well because of being isolated. There was, people who were more depressed and who needed those kind of services, as far as like getting therapy, and just being starved for human interaction because everybody was locked down. um and I think it affects different people differently. There are a lot of people who are loners, and who they're happy with their own company, but at the same time, like you said, human beings were pack animals, and the lone wolf is the dead wolf. So
Yep.
that's just, that's a fact. So definitely have to, take that into consideration as well. And I think it's great to be able to leverage it, and to be able to, um, you know, utilize it for the things you're, doing, but it's not like a magic pill that's going to fix everything. It's
Yeah.
yet another tool in your toolbox to be utilized for certain things. So,
Yeah. There's a young lady that I'm believing I'm gonna end up taking her on as a client. Um, but she said something that was interesting to me. Like when I was coaching her through um how to communicate her value prop, right? So we were talking about branding and core values, core focus, ideal client, what her what her niche was, or her competitive moat was. And midway through our conversation, she shared with me that she felt some kind of way about herself, because she felt like, despite the fact that we were having a very elementary discussion in terms of entrepreneurship and what's required to be successful, um, she struggled with it. And she said she struggled with it because she says she has a difficult time communicating in an emotional or qualitative way.
mm,
And she said that there are a generation, she's younger, she's 23, 24 years of age. And she says there's a generation of people who are coming up like her, who are just awkward, right? They're awkward. They don't know how to talk, right? They don't have, what do we say? They don't have good wordplay. You know what I mean? Like their EQ isn't very high. And I thought about that. It's like we are going to be the last generation that was unplugged from the matrix, so to speak. Like we came up unplugged. We had to plug in. But there's a generation that's coming up that has never been unplugged. Like they were born into this. And it's certain skills that they just don't have. There's a certain capacity and flexibility and dexterity in terms of their emotional well-being, psychological well-being. There's a certain dexterity they don't even have in terms of their intellect. Um, it doesn't mean they're not talented or intelligent people, but there's a lack of dexterity and flexibility there. Um, and I thought that was very interesting. And AI, I think, is going to exacerbate that. But just like AI is going to exacerbate that, that also creates opportunities for people to create things to address that, right? That's a business opportunity is going to transpire.
Mhm.
Um, I was thinking about that as I was just listening to you. Um, the other thing that, and I think it was all the parties during that podcast or Robinson were talking about, like, so you have this ideal that it's an equal playing field, that only maybe 1% of the entire world population even understands what's going on, right? Would even be in a place to have a conversation like the one we're having now, and quite frankly, I think we're novices at it. Like, there are people who specialize in this. This is what they do. They get it, and I'm certainly not among them, right? Um, Once again, I'm just thinking about the speed. I remember coming up in my 20s when I started my journey in investment advising industry. I used to have these conversations with business owners all the time. And I would tell them, like, you have to learn how to utilize websites. You have to learn how to utilize sales tools, CRMs, this, that, and the other. And now I'm watching these business owners who were slow to adopt these tools. Um, I'm watching these business owners who chose not to adopt these tools. I'm watching them go out of business. But it took 10 years. It took 20 years for them to go out of business as a result, right? I'm watching like businesses that are invaluable. Like, they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of contacts. They have this database, they have this goodwill that's been created, they have this brand recognition that's been created, that are literally going to go out of business, and there's no business succession plan. The value's just going to die, right? Because they did not get with the times. And once again, there's a part of me that I'm just very aware of the fact that what it took 10 to 20 years to transpire, it's going to happen in 5. Like, I'm very aware that a lot of these blocks that I'm driving up and down here in Detroit Metro and other cities that I travel to, a lot of these business owners are going to be gone. And it's not going to take 10, 20 years. It's going to be gone in 5 years or so. Like, what does that mean, right? Um, but me being an entrepreneur too, it is what it is. I'm also thinking about, okay, where's the opportunities to help these people, or to utilize, or to, like, for me, I'm gonna tell you a play that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking critically about it, because you have a lot of business owners who just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Once again, there are business owners that have databases. They have phone numbers, emails, contact information of people. They don't know how to use it, and they're too hard headed. They're not going to do it properly. I'm literally thinking about buying those databases. Like, hey, you got 3,000 people, you got their phone numbers and their emails. Like, I'm literally thinking about ways of how I can approach these databases in a way to monetize them by offering them value, right? I'm thinking about that critically. And I think AI can be a phenomenal tool to help people do that. Man, I shouldn't have even gave that piece of game away. But anyway, I shouldn't have even done it. I should have just executed myself, and then, in a year or two, popped up and said, hey, right? But I mean, these are the types of things that I'm thinking about. It's interesting, right? Man. So, I give this real estate thing, project, enterprise, and I'm building 5 hours a week. I give it about 5 hours a week. And 80% of that is phone calls.
Mhm.
Now, this is something I know AI can do better than me. AI can go through those phone numbers and figure out which ones are legitimate, which ones aren't, which emails are legitimate, which ones aren't, at 100 times the speed that I can, right? I've been thinking about that because I'm thinking about hiring someone actually to make these calls. Because my time is better served in interacting with people once they've been identified.
Right.
But the calls themselves, like, this is some BS, man. I can pay someone to do that. Just
Mhm.
get me the right numbers and email addresses after we've done the skip trace, and we're good.
Right.
Um, but I can tell you what AI can't do. This last property I acquired, I know for a fact the only reason why this person is doing business with me is because I took the time to listen to them. Instead of getting on the phone and having a conversation with them about the property itself, I didn't even initiate the conversation that way. I start asking them how you get involved in, real estate investing in the first place. Talk to me about your experiences. What were you looking to accomplish? Was it legacy for the family? Was because you just enjoy the game? You love real estate? We had that conversation, right? Then we started having a conversation about career and what financial independence and wealth means to them, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we started having the conversation about the residence itself. Like, give me the history. Why did you acquire this particular property? What did you hope would transpire? Why do you no longer want the property? Talk to me about the relationship with the tenants and this, that, and the other. Like, I want to hear more of that information. Mind you, I didn't get into the mechanicals. I didn't get into, the condition of the property. I was just having that type of conversation.
Mhm.
And then once I wrapped up, that was 90% of our conversation. And then once I was done with that part of the conversation, then I started asking questions about the condition of the property and when I could stop by, take a look at it, talk to the tenants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Make sure this transition is smooth for all parties involved. And make sure that the tenants are okay with the fact that the property's changing hands. Make sure that the seller is okay in case they haven't gone through a type of situation they're dealing with a wholesaler. I'm probably gonna have to massage the buyer who's texting me right now because I think this is the first time they've dealt with a wholesaler. So making sure that all parties feel good, and while everybody may not be getting exactly what they want, everyone's getting what they need, which is usually the sign of a really good deal, right? When right, AI can't do that, at least not yet, right? Um,
I mean, there's certain things that AI can do and replicate and effectively, efficiently, but there are some things that just still require human touch, human interaction. And that's a prime example of that.
yeah,
A computer can't um, get a rapport with a human being like another human being can.
yeah.
So, I think that's a very good point. And like you said, you built a rapport with the person. You weren't just like straight cut to the chase, reading a script. It wasn't a script. It was just you engaging in conversation and getting to know
Mhm.
this person. And now you're doing business. And they're going to remember that and probably refer you to people and, maybe do some other business with you too, because you took the time to do those things that quite frankly, a lot of people don't do, and AI definitely can't do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Man, it's so much going on. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of business owners in the logistics industry, trucking logistics.
mhm.
And what I do believe is going to transpire because of AI, there's going to be like big time consolidation. It's going to be a lot of consolidation in that industry. Um, and people who are driving Uber or doing Lyft and doing Uber Eats and all this other stuff, trust me, these machines are going to be doing those jobs.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
already have driverless vehicles on the road now. Um, they're just beta testing.
The Tesla
The,
can drive itself.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
the,
a Tesla.
yeah. These things are going to get really good. But what I'm thinking about is, okay, I'm thinking about the infrastructure that's required to run a trucking logistics company, equipment, the trucks themselves, everything. Um, Look, man, I would almost take like an eBay approach to that. I mean, I would not be opposed. I'm not going to do it because I'm not interested in that kind of industry. I'm going to stay in the things that I'm interested in, continue to niche down, specialize, make it as difficult as possible for AI to do my job, which is specialization and niching down in certain things. Becoming so elite at number one, doing what it is that I do, but also becoming elite in terms of how to utilize AI to do what I do, right? But if I were an individual in the trucking logistics industry, we know what's happening. A lot of these businesses are going to go belly up here in the next 5 to 10 years. Man, I'd be eyeballing some of these companies. I'd be buying their stuff straight up. And I will be looking for marketplaces in which to sell that stuff to these companies that are going to end up consolidating as a result. I mean, that's something that can be viable, right? That's going to occur.
Right.
Um, Man, there's so many different. If I'm a plumber right now, or if I'm in the skilled trades, I think it's going to take longer for these tools to do that kind of work, but they are going to eventually do that type of work. That type of precision is coming. I don't know how soon it's coming, but it's coming, right? Um, if I am in the skilled trades industry, the one thing about the skilled trades is when someone allows you into their home, they allow you into their life.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of trust for a human being to let a stranger come up into their home, into their space.
I agree.
So you have a relationship with these people if you're in the skilled trades. You have the ability to learn so much about these households, develop such a rapport with these households. You have such the ability to create you already know where I'm going with this, right? A network, a database, right? Of people um, that you can market services to, right? A person is going to be utilizing AI robots to do that kind of work. They still need to build that network, right? They still need to build those relationships. Those relationships are going to be valuable. Um, that's part of the reason why, quite frankly, what we do within the direct selling industry is so valuable. There's a reason why I'm not immediately concerned about AI tools even doing that, because what we do at the end of the day is build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Sure.
We're relationship builders. And these relationship type of businesses are going to become increasingly more valuable because these, as we begin to use technology, we become more dispersed and separate from each other. It's harder to create connection. So for those of us who understand how to pierce through all these tools and create genuine connections and relationships with people and get people to like, know, and trust us beyond us just being some type of brand behind a computer screen or a logo on a cup or whatever, those things are going to become increasingly invaluable. Um, you know, man, there's so many different directions we can go with it when it comes to being an entrepreneur and how this is going to either turn people's tables over or how you can create a table utilizing these tools. I don't know. I guess overall, I have like, I think a healthy degree of concern, because if you're not a little bit paranoid as an entrepreneur, you're going to get eaten. You better be paranoid. You got to be a little bit paranoid as an entrepreneur, because either someone's competing with you because they're trying to build a taller building than you, or they're competing with you because they're trying to tear down your building. So you need a little bit of healthy paranoia.
You
Um,
be hyper vigilant
yeah,
on all that.
yeah, I'm very vigilant and I'm a little paranoid about what these tools are going to do.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, I'm equally optimistic about the opportunities these tools are going to present to those of us who are willing to go out here and learn it. I guess what I would implore entrepreneurs and business owners who are listening to this, and let me say this too, look, if you've gotten value out of this conversation, if This conversation has been a help you work through some things. Hit the share button, right? That's the only way people know that what we're doing is bringing value to the marketplace. Of course, we love the likes, we like the comments. Um, we just had a phenomenal interview with Joe Rashid. We have a couple more coming up, some really dynamic individuals. But that only happens when people see the fact that we are gaining traction here and we're bringing value to the marketplace. So let me get that out the way. But yeah, I lost my train of thought when I went into the whole quick 20-second infomercial. But yeah, oh, I remember now. I want to be part of that 2% of early adopters. I want every entrepreneur to understand you don't have a choice. You think you have a choice. No, you don't. You must adopt. If you want this, there's just such a degree of fragility that people exhibit now emotionally and psychologically. I was just having a conversation with our partners, and I was talking about to her about how I came up 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they would lock us into a room. It'd be some old belligerent donkey behind. You know what I mean? Would come into the room behind us, and there was no respect. There was no regard for your opinions and perspectives. There was no raise your hand. Well, I think this. Well, the dude doing the training got 20, 30 years on you. He's earned $5, $10 million more than you. Your effing opinion of what you think didn't matter. They closed the door and they let us have it. But you know what? After 60 days of that, when we came out of that, whatever you want to call it, that lambasting, right? We were monsters. You know what I mean? We were monsters. I was sitting down with one of our partners. They were having a difficult time trying to figure out how to approach a certain segment, marketplace, communicate the value prop, get the client. They've been going through months and months of training, and literally in 15 minutes, I solved their problem. Right? I was like, no, this is how you have to talk about it. This is the language you have to use. You got to understand how other people are thinking. You got to empathize with their situation, what's in it for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She said, oh my God, you literally solved my problem. I was like, well, you need to understand that process that I said, what you don't know is that when I'm talking to you and other people, I'm smiling and I'm attempting to be as empathetic as possible. But part of me is like, will you just shut up? Stop your whining, stop your crying, stop telling me that you need to be a pro. Entrepreneurship is blood sport.
Yep.
And all this, I need a emotional, warm, fuzzy, pet massage me. It's the same reason why, you know, I love my children. I pet, massage, encourage them. I I do what I can to build up their esteem and self-concept. I let them understand what's running through their DNA and why they can be successful and how fortunate they are to be born into a situation where they have a man and a woman that loves them, highly educated, very capable. The things that they're learning indirectly, whether or not they realize it or not, the other kids just aren't getting exposed to. But at the same time, I'm gonna let them bump their heads. At the same time, I'm gonna let them skin their elbows and their knees. At the same time, I'm gonna make things hard on them on purpose. Same time, no, you're not gonna be on your computer playing games and watching BS.com. You about to be on this Monopoly board. You about to be on this Scrabble board. You about to be in these books. You about to be in these journals. You about to you're gonna learn these things first. Then you can have fun, right?
That's what being a parent is. It's you're not their
Yeah,
friend, you're their life
right.
coach, guide. So,
Yeah,
and
and
I think
and
that's really important that
yeah,
you
and
do that for them.
let me just bring it home. And when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and business owners today, particularly those who are younger, I'm like, stop getting. What I want to say is just like I said, shut up crying and whining. Stop getting upset about how and the way I'm talking to you. Understand, I'm purposely bludgeoning you. Because trust me, you rather take the bludgeoning from me than go out here in the marketplace and take it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you can't take the tough love from me, your competitors have no love. And the marketplace has no love. Like, people don't care whether or not you're going to eat tomorrow. They care whether or not they can extract as much value from you as possible. And if you don't have the wherewithal to demand a certain value in return, you're going to catch an L. And when you come across that shady double SOB, or the person that doesn't have integrity, or the person is just doing things all wrong, and you getting in bed with them, when they catch that L, you catch that L with them. If you don't have the mental fortitude to push through challenges and mistakes and errors and things that are completely out of your control, you could be excellent, the excellence of execution. Right, going back to WWF days. You can have all these things and you can still catch that L. You can get wiped out. Right? If you don't have that, you're going to catch an L. And I guess the message that I'm trying to share with entrepreneurs and business owners about getting profane and saying exactly what's on my mind and using the language I really want to use is, you don't have a choice. Like, I don't care that it makes you uncomfortable. Sorry. I don't care that you feel like you don't have time. I'm sorry. I don't care that you feel like you don't have the means to expense it or the time to expend in this. I'm sorry. Look, no, I'm not sorry. You have to do this. You have to do this. If you don't, you're not going to have 10, 20 years to evolve. You're going to have 2 to 3 years and you're going to be out of business. Somebody's going to be eating your lunch. Believe me.
Well, leveling up requires you to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's part of the requirement of leveling up. If you're not uncomfortable, then you're not leveling up, period. That's just
Yeah.
what anybody who's successful will tell you that. Oh, that's just part of it. That's part of that process. So it's a requirement, like you said. So
Yeah. Yeah, you have to figure out a way to get better every single day. Like, I'm not trying to learn a whole new AI tool every single day, but what I am doing is just trying to get a little bit better day by day. Right?
absolutely.
If you get 1% better a week, you're 52% better at the end of the year. Right?
Yeah,
If
that's the
you
goal every day. Is like you said, just to
Yeah,
be the best possible version of yourself, to learn as much as you can, and of course, most importantly, to be able to execute because you can learn all day, every day, and if you're not executing what you're learning, then what are you really doing?
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's fascinating, man. It's fascinating, man.
well,
And
I
it
do
Go ahead.
to wrap up because I do have a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
that I have mentioned.
You
Um,
saw that text I sent you, right?
yes,
People are texting me now, they're bidding on it right now.
nice.
So if you know someone,
I
that deal is probably gonna be done in about 3 to 5 days.
couple hours.
Or a couple hours. I got someone now who's like, I want it now. And I'm like, well, hold